Hey everyone, welcome back to DDJs Inferno, the weekly show where we talk about the issues relevant to men. I have actually formally named my weekly show DDJs Inferno to pay homage to TFM and the first stream that he and I did together on his YouTube channel. I've re-uploaded it to my channel if you ever want to check it out. It's freely available, called DDJs Inferno. It's about 90 minutes long if you wanted to take a look at that. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Taz the MGTOW. Taz has made me a new thumbnail for my live show, so I think that's absolutely awesome. So good looking out, Taz. Thank you. I love it. I've had good feedback from it already. In addition to that, moving forward, for those people who may have noticed already, I'm going to start doing announcement videos for each one of my live shows to make sure that people are aware of what's going on with it. So, and then again, if I'm targeted by YouTube, so I know there's been a lot of MGTOW recently who've been targeted by YouTube, some of which have 2 strikes. When you have 2 strikes, you don't get the opportunity to upload for 2 weeks. If that happens, I'll be using an alternate channel. So make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on Minds or Gab.ai. Because what I'll do is I'll be posting links to those new channels there. And I want to make sure that if you guys still want to, follow my content, those will be the places that you need to follow it, assuming that, there's an issue there. So with that in mind, I also want to let you know, if you notice the lower right-hand side of the screen, my channel is now sponsored by the Dollhouse. So thank you, Phil, for the Dollhouse for the sponsorship. And if you guys haven't seen my new sex doll video, it's called The Dollars and Cents of Sex Dolls. I won't necessarily be doing the type of reviews that TFM does, mainly because I don't have a sex doll and I'm still on the fence. No pun intended. And go from there. Also, for Twitch subscribers, just so you guys know, I have some emojis for Twitch subscribers, but I'm kind of a Twitch potato still learning the whole Twitch thing. Lone Wolf has been kind enough to help me out with setting up my new emojis. So we have some that we're working on right now. When they come out, you guys will definitely have access to them. The same thing is true with my Twitch cheers. So if you guys want to donate bits to cheer in Twitch, that's fine. But unfortunately, they're not customized yet. Again, I'm a potato. We're still working on it. Pardon me. Speaking of working on things, we are, like, a group of people and I are still in the development of merchandising. Shot glasses, hoodies, t-shirts, those types of things. But those things are coming. They're just, I don't have an announcement date yet. If you have an idea of something that you would like to see from DDJ merch or Misandry Today merch, shoot me an email at misandry.happens@gmail.com. Also, if you know somebody who wants to be on the show or wants to have a live stream with me one-on-one, whether they host it or I host it, I'm willing to talk to just about anybody. So again, feel free to email me at misandry.happens@gmail.com. And then in addition to that, I've set up a Discord server that I'm going to be opening up to my $20 VIP patrons, and I'm in the process of connecting it to Patreon. It's not set up completely yet, so those $20 patrons will not be able to have access to it yet, but it'll be nice because there are other YouTube content creators there, and it's a good way to connect to the people that really care about and are willing to support the channel. So with that in mind, I just want to make sure that those things are out of the way. And then we're going to change up the Q&A tutorial today a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Give me just a second. I've got a lot of coughs today for some reason. All right, I'm back. So the Q&A is going to be handled a little differently. Since I've got my Q&A thought, Lily, she's going to be fielding all the Q&A that comes through. We no longer have to ask questions at the end of the stream. So if you have a question, you can type it in caps and in brackets and who the question is directed to. Lily will grab that question, and then during the Q&A section, she will go ahead and ask those questions. And again, just as kind of a common sense sort of thing, if your question is a potato question, if you're a booger-eating moron, or just, you're a super knuckle-dragger, we're probably not going to ask those questions. But, we might make fun of you publicly. So there is that. with that in mind, my guest today is Barbara4u2c. Barbara, introduce yourself.
Oh, hi. Okay, yeah, I suck at introducing myself. Yeah, I'm Barbara4u2c. You can call me Barb. I create videos online, obviously. I had a previous channel before, but now I'm using the Barbara4u2c one. And I have a Twitter and Instagram and Facebook page and yada, yada, yada. But mainly I use YouTube, and I do social political commentary and videos about Slovenian culture and just random silly stuff that enters my brain. That's it. That's me.
Fair enough. Well, the most important question of the stream that I think everybody is absolutely concerned about is, are you a trap?
Oh, dear Lord. What do you think?
I don't know. I've seen your New Year's Eve pictures, so I have some questions. Just saying.
Everybody does.
It's fine. Now, I noticed that you do political commentary, and I saw your video the other day about Slovenian potatoes. You want to kind of go into that a little bit? We talk about potatoes. So the reason I bring this up is because when we talk about potatoes here on this show and on the TFM show, basically you have ignorant, stupid, retarded, and then once you've gone past full retard, it's potato. So, so my question for you is, talk to me a little bit about Slovenian potatoes and how those are.
Like in general, in people, or the actual potato?
The actual potato. Tell me why you made that video. That video is hilarious, but just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I recently came across actually my friend sent me a picture of this statue being put in the name of a potato in Slovenia, and I just started laughing so hardcore, and I Googled what is the location of that statue, and then I discovered so many websites dedicated literally of people fangirling over potatoes. And while I was doing that research, I was just cracking up so much, because I think people are just like, they talk about potatoes in a very serious tone, serious, voice. And apparently there's this very, it's a cultural thing, because there was a hunger in 18th, or at the beginning of 19th century, there was like a massive hunger on European land, and especially around Slovenia and countries like that. Like, it used to be Habsburg monarchy, and a lot of people who didn't have money and castles were just starving. So when they realized that you can eat potatoes, it actually saved the hunger. And because Slovenians are in general a very grateful nation, they actually created like clubs and memberships and organizations in the name of a potato, and it's actually a thing. There are like marathons in the name of potatoes and stuff like that. I think it's awesome, man.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: what are the immigration restrictions to head to Slovenia? Like, if somebody wanted to immigrate to Slovenia, do you know how hard it is to immigrate there?
Well, the thing is, the immigration itself is not that hard. The problem is finding a job and being able to sustain yourself over there is the problem. Because already Slovenians are struggling in finding jobs, and there just isn't enough for everybody, or they're shitty. So immigrating itself is very easy. We have a lot of international student programs, but if you decide to live over there, you kind of need to know the language, and it's a very hard language to learn. And then getting a job would just be a hassle.
Right, and I totally get it. So the reason I was bringing that up is because, guys, if there are any potatoes in the audience, if you are a booger-eating moron or you are completely retarded, Slovenia will welcome you. They lionize potatoes. They absolutely do. And if you haven't seen Barbara's video, trust me, it's fantastic. There's like statues of potatoes. It is glorious. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, Barbara, when did you come to the United States? Like, how long have you been here?
I moved here 2.5 years ago.
Okay. But you've been on YouTube for a lot longer than that. When did you start YouTube?
I created my first channel in 2007. So like right at the beginning of YouTube being even created.
Okay.
And then I created my second channel in 2012.
So you've been on YouTube for like 10 years then?
Yeah, almost 11. It's going to be 11 this year.
Holy shit. Okay. Okay. So when you did your first YouTube channel, what was like, what was your inspiration? What inspired you to make that happen?
Oh, it was the silliest thing ever. I was applying for this audition for a TV commercial, and you had to send a picture or a video about yourself, and it was all public, and everybody was just like, hello, my name is so and so, my hobbies are blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, I want to make something funny. So I wrote this like retarded sketch, filmed it, and put it on YouTube and applied via YouTube. And then even though I didn't get the part, a lot of people in the comment section were like, oh my God, that was so funny. Can you make more? And I was like, oh my God, I totally can. So I started making them for fun, and it just became a lifestyle.
Okay. Okay. And then now I noticed that you have like a second channel now, the one I saw from 2012 forward. And that one seems to be really focused on political commentary and things circling that. Talk to me about kind of the types of stuff that you have on that particular YouTube channel a little bit.
Well, mainly I talk about like social issues, or like I comment on all the retarded ways people are making things offensive and being offended by. I really enjoy making fun out of those people. And I do videos on Slovenian culture, because nobody's doing them, so why not? And like silly stuff, like sketch, like something weird that pops up in my brain, like types of actors or stuff like that, and then I just make fun out of them.
Yeah, I saw the one where like somebody was doing laundry in the background. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, you're like sitting there trying to film your video, and like all of a sudden somebody throws in a load of laundry, and you're like, really? Is this where we're going? So,
yep, story of my life.
Fun. So then I guess my next question is, I know you're in California. I like to lovingly call California dog shitistan. Have you taken the Tide Pod challenge yet?
Of course.
Okay.
It's on my daily menu.
Perfect. How did you discover me?
Your book?
My book? Talk to me about that. I mean, give me your feedback.
Oh, okay. I like to read up on things that I'm talking about, like, extensively. So I actually have arguments and facts, and I don't, because the other side plays emotions a lot. I like to play the brain, or not even play it. So I read up. I always like order books on Amazon because I like to read them as a hard copy. And because of I always order books within like feminism and political issues, they always recommend me new stuff that I haven't had yet. And I saw your book and I ordered it. And yours was actually the one that I usually take time to read them, like several days, and make notes and stuff like that. But yours I read in like half a day. As soon as I started reading, I was into it. I didn't put it down until I finished it. So yeah, it is officially actually my favorite book so far that I've read, and I've read a lot of them on feminism topic.
Okay, I appreciate that. I saw your video from November, and and where you used my book as a main source, and it was interesting too, because it was like, I'm a new author, and as a first time author. You never know how your book is going to be received. And so it was really kind of nice to see like a third party's view of, their position regarding my book. Obviously, as a first time author and self-published, there's room for improvement, but, so I appreciate your kind words there. Now, as far as politics are concerned, and obviously you're an anti-feminist, where do you describe yourself on the political spectrum? Yeah.
I get asked that question a lot, and honestly never know the answer, because it's a combination. Like, certain values come from the conservative side, but I'm not like hardcore conservative, like, the really uptight one. And some issues come from libertarian part but I also don't agree with everything they're doing. So I think best answer would be like libertarian / conservative.
Okay. Okay. So in other words, you're not a big fan of the welfare state. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I see shout out to Turd Flinging Monkey in the chat. So he says all anti-feminist women are traditionalists. Are you a traditionalist?
I think so. I believe so.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. TFM it's confirmed. So she's more of a traditionalist. Mm-hmm. So what got you into anti-feminist commentary?
Well, it was actually just my first video on that topic was a tryout. It was on my mind for a long time, because even my content before that, it was more of a like being brutally honest and being very straightforward and like having zero filters. So a lot of people were asking me what is my political viewpoint and stuff like that, and how do I see feminism, and if I'm a feminist, or like some people were calling me a feminist. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put all the questions to end. Here's my video why I'm not a feminist. Boom, go. And then suddenly that blew up, and everybody was once again telling me to make more. And I was like, okay, this is actually pretty fun. Like, I love doing researches and reading up on stuff and bringing new information to people that they might not know. So it kind of became a habit again.
Fair enough. Now, do you just make, when you're talking about feminism, do you just make anti-feminist commentary, or do you poke fun at the social justice warriors as well?
Both, but I try to like not make it directed towards a specific person, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not making a reaction videos. I don't make reaction videos to like a certain person making a video. I talk in general, and like sometimes a lot of this is washed up, so I'm trying not to like, you know, be like, "Ooh, feminists get wrecked videos," ooh, but just present the arguments and facts and maybe throw in a little humor and like do it that way.
Okay, yeah, and that makes sense. I also think that it's one of those things too that if people target each other too much, that's when, you know, all of a sudden video flags start happening and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, because I mean, feminists get really super insecure about that. Mm-hmm. So, I totally get it. And just as a kind of a reminder to everybody in the channel, if you have questions that you want to ask, originally we were taking those questions at the end, but since I have Lily here, if you want to ask your questions in chat, you can ask them anytime during the stream. Just you want to put brackets, caps, the question, who the question is to, and what the question is. Lily will grab those and log them, and then we'll be able to ask them at the end. Also, if you see on the lower right-hand side of your screen occasionally, there'll be the little bukkake choke slams that float up. Those are like the points you can turn in and redeem. And you can click the little box if you hover over the corner by the dollhouse logo. You can click that box, redeem them for a question, type out your question, and then Lily will be able to answer that question because those questions get logged as well. The one thing that I would say, though, is if you have a multi-part question and you're going to type it in chat, please try to type them in as separate questions. And there is a character limit on the bukkake choke slam redeemed questions, so make sure your question isn't too long or complex if you're going to use that as well. Now, the bukkake choke slams, if you're on a Roku or you're on a mobile device, you will not be able to redeem them. So if you're on a mobile device or Roku, you'll have to type them in if you're able to. And I believe Roku, there may not be an interface to do so. So for those people on Roku, I apologize. But if you're on Twitch TV or you're on a computer desktop, whether it be a PC or Mac, that shouldn't be a problem. So we'll just kind of go from there. Barbara, back to you. I have a question. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the videos on your current channel, what is the video you're most proud of?
Oh. Interesting. I would say anything that, like, my favorite videos are usually the videos that people hate the most. And it would be either the one when I'm poking fun out of white supremacy, the one that I have featured, or the one that I posted like 2 days ago about Tide Pods. The most retarded ones are my favorite because I come up with this, like, the craziest ideas ever, and they make me laugh. And when I put them out, I'm really excited and really proud of them. Usually people hate them, but they make me proud.
I can see that. Now, as far as your white supremacy video, I didn't get a chance to see that one. Kind of give us a little synopsis of that one.
Oh, it's just basically tutorial how to get rid of your toxic whiteness. And it's just there's a frying pan included, exorcism, and it's happening in the forest of whiteness. So nice. It's a combination of the stupidest things I could come up with. And there's 10 steps. So once you've done those steps, you are healed of your toxic whiteness.
Well, the nice thing about doing that particular video, and maybe there's a possibility you can do a follow-up, since now we have the Tide Pod Challenge. So there you go. If you have the Tide Pod Challenge with bleach, just saying.
That's true. That's true.
Bleach makes things white. So never let it be said I'm not helpful. So, I've been following your Twitter since last year. Again, I noticed your video about the 7 lies of feminism. And for those who haven't seen it, check out Barbara's video about the 7 lies of feminism. I like it not just because my book is one of the main sources, but it's actually a good video.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I started following Barbara's Twitter last year, and one of the things I've noticed is that throughout the media, there's been a lot of conversation about not just MGTOW, but men in general ghosting women. And Barbara, I noticed that you had made some comments about that last year. Mm-hmm. You kind of want to go into detail a little bit about kind of what those comments were, and maybe a little bit of the backstory without going into too much detail?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell firsthand that it feels like crap when people do that, but I think it comes from the way the society views relationships nowadays. There's 2 possible scenarios. Either people get spooked being attached to one another and afraid of getting hurt, or they just want to keep things casual because everybody's doing things casual, and you can pretty much get another date with few swipes. So those 2 scenarios affect people to ghost, other people. I think in my case, and I've spoken to a lot of people sharing their stories with me, it's this hookup culture and the whole dating app culture, because people just don't see the value of another person anymore, or a value of relationship. They just want the benefits without putting in the effort. And that's very easy to get. And it's a fun way of life, just passing through, not getting attached, not getting tied down. And it's awesome, until you're probably 60 and 70 and you end up, I guess, alone. I don't know. We'll see about that.
Right. Well, I don't know. There is a subculture out there that likes to get tied down at earlier ages. I'm just saying, but I take your point.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed the dating apps, I think they ruined everything.
Well, yeah. And I mean, obviously you're an anti-feminist YouTuber, so I think that you would readily agree that feminism has really negatively impacted long-term monogamous relationships. I mean, it's
of course
the war on marriage, the war on men. It's turned it into a shit show. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is that it doesn't seem like women are any happier. It seems like women are more miserable today.
Of course they are.
So I mean, is that your experience as well with the women that you've spoken to?
Yeah. I actually throughout my lifetime, I hung out with guys more because I did sports and I did guy stuff, and I had very few female friends. Also because we didn't really get along ever. I didn't really understand, especially in high school, why it was so popular to sleep around and have so many guys going through them, their numbers, and then every week there would be a new name and blah, 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 or sometimes even bragging about it. It was always and details about sex life always made me feel very uncomfortable. And it wasn't until I discovered anti-feminism why I felt that way, but that wasn't until later on. But I would always notice that there would be so many sob stories and so many, oh, but like this one I really liked, why doesn't he call me? Or, oh, I think I'm getting attached. Or, oh, I thought it was just going to be casual, but now I'm catching feelings, and blah, 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 blah. And it would just always be misery after misery after misery. And I would just think to myself, why are you doing this to yourself, girl? Like, why? Just take your time for yourself and be by yourself, because how are you going to attract any quality guy if you literally sleep with the person after a few hours of meeting them, and then you don't even remember his name? Like, I don't know. And then you wake up next day and you feel embarrassed, you feel ashamed, you feel disgusted, you start viewing sex differently, you can't really emotionally connect to people, and once you are ready for a relationship, you can't have it because you've been through so many people that at this point you don't know how to love. And then you fuck yourself over. Pardon my French.
No, that's fine. We actually call that the cock carousel. But I noticed that you said something that kind of struck me. I didn't realize we were supposed to remember their names. Shit, I've been doing it wrong.
I mean, you're not supposed to, but if it doesn't make you feel good the next day that you can't even remember the name, then maybe you want to write it down.
Well, I thought it was like honey, babe, and dear were like the universal, like that worked.
It might be in your world.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure this out, trying to sort it out. Well, as a MGTOW, clearly I'm a neck bearded virgin living in my mom's basement. So, I get a little confused. What it might be is it might be, yeah, I might have a hard time processing it because of all the Cheeto dust. So.
Oh yeah, it's okay. I'll teach you the ways.
Okay, fair enough. What's interesting though is like, as we talk about relationships and as we talk about kind of the, how basically riding the cock carousel and running through large numbers of sexual partners destroys a woman's ability to pair bond. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is that in today's society, what I've noticed is that there is little to no incentive for a man to really commit to a woman anymore. I mean, given the divorce laws and everything else that's happening. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I know it's a hassle out there for both genders, and I completely understand the MGTOW movement, mainly because I was in America for the first time I was in America was in 2012, but I was here for just a few months. But I only met like ex-military or military people. And the stories they shared with me, yeah, because like I hung out in like bars and stuff like. Never mind. Playing darts, playing pool brings those kind of people.
I don't recall.
Never mind. To the point. And they shared a lot of like stories, really horrible stories with me, of like not only having one misfortune with one woman, but like a second one as well. And I get it. I get it. I don't know. I have this philosophy. Even if I do get involved with somebody, it has to be from a friendship. And then approach with caution. And that's the only advice that I have right now, because I don't know, traditional lifestyle is being extinct. So either you want casual and hooking up, or maybe it's just better if you're alone, I guess. Right.
Well, and I think that one of the issues that a lot of men that I've spoken to have is that while they do definitely want they want to have a friendship or an emotional connection with the woman that's in their life, they have an issue with the fact that a lot of women, because of the casual sex and the hookup culture, a lot of women are not loyal anymore. And given that there's an epidemic of single parent households, a lot of these women grow up with emotional issues. They reach puberty quicker. And some, I mean, obviously you read my book. So, in chapter 8, we talk about, how female promiscuity hurts women and how feminism promotes that. So I take your point, but I guess my question for you is if you had a perfect solution to this current culture that we live in to make things better or to improve things, what do you think? What are your thoughts on how to improve things?
Oh shit. Well, to be gonna sound pessimistic, but at this point, I don't know if anything can be done, because first of all, we would have to remove feminism and start telling people the reality and the truth about what sleeping around does to your brain and your philosophy. Because it's actually scientifically oxytocin, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it's released during an orgasm. And in female's brain, it's a chemical that makes you attached. It's in certain mammals, it's like the key thing to pair and procreate, because they get attached to one another. And in female's brain, it gets you attached to the person you're sleeping with. So even if you are pretending you're keeping things casual, at some point it's not going to be casual. But that is not being said a lot. Like, there's no data, or like no researchers are being pushed to tell women, look, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to have your heart broken over and over and over and over again until you're just turning into trust issues and a bitch. So I think first would be removing the power of feminism, and then from that point on, try to rebuild stuff. But the way things are going now, especially, I mean, we've seen Women's March, come on, a second one already. This is becoming an annual thing now, and it's only going to get worse. So
there is a benefit there. The average weight of an American woman is 160 pounds, which means they're fat. So the fact that Trump's able to get these women out exercising, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying, listen,
but it's like a mile.
But he's got more women exercising than Michelle Obama did with her fitness initiative. So
I've heard that one before, yeah.
Yeah, you know. But it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, I always tell people that you never know somebody until you either fought them or you fucked them. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, because, you know, when there is sexual intercourse, yeah, if you have so many, like a certain number of partners, you can't pair bond anymore. But if you have a lower number of sexual partners, the odds of pair bonding are vastly increased. One of the things that Turd Flinging Monkey and I talk about on the TFM show and on the TFM 420 show, #ShillAlert, is that we think that feminism and gynocentrism in society is at stage 4 cancer levels. In other words, there's no coming back from it. And we believe, just based on things we've seen, not just in the male-female relationship realm, but all across the realm, like with the welfare state and everything else, we believe that there's a good possibility that it's going to take a collapse to kind of cause things to kind of reset. You know, like some kind of major collapse, like either a depression or a financial collapse or something. We don't know what it necessarily is or what form it's going to take or when it's going to happen or anything. You know, I don't know, maybe I need to get fitted for a new tinfoil hat. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think that could be a possible solution as well. I think feminism, just roughly describing it, is a result of boredom and a result of having things way too easy. And people start focusing on little things. And because they are not truly oppressed and they don't really truly struggle, they find a way to create problems and create a way to fight for something that is not even true. So if something like that hits, when everybody's like, holy shit, how am I going to survive? Feminism will be the last thing on the freaking list. Trust me.
Right. We actually thought about that as well. And we were looking at Venezuela, where you have these, strong, independent feminist women who are doctors and lawyers and PhD level educated women. And they're working in brothels because they can't afford food. You know, so it's like, you know, their education really doesn't help them very much. It's like, you know, people are more concerned about whether or not they don't have gag reflex and whether or not they're strong, independent women. You know, and again, we see I think that looking at not Switzerland, but Sweden, we get a glimpse into the future as to what feminism has in store for the rest of the world, because Sweden is an absolute shit show.
Yep.
And this immigration it's out of control. Yeah. It's out of control.
It's not Sweden anymore. I think they should just rename it. That's not Sweden anymore.
Well, talk to me about your views on immigration and kind of what you see are the flaws currently.
Holy fuckery. All right.
You're
Well,
welcome.
I have different views on immigration here. And there's a different immigration going on in Europe and the one that is over here. I think so. I mean, in my head. But like if you compare Europe, for example, this whole refugee crisis, they did a lot of massive damage. And I've done tons of videos on it. And it's so disheartening that all the media is only reporting, the kids with their face in the sand and then the women going through water, when in reality it's like 85 or 95%, 85% of them are men, completely capable of working. And those are not refugees, those are economic migrants. And they are just coming over there to have a better life and sneak in. And they destroyed Paris, they destroyed Sweden, Italy, London. Like the streets are completely different. I've been in Paris when I was 15. That was 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, like when I look at the footage, it's like a completely different city. It became close to what Hollywood streets are like, that are just dirty and messy, and walking through them makes you want to puke. And that's what Paris became. And
well, I call California dog shitistan for a lot of reasons, so I get it.
Yeah. I mean, parts of California are still very pretty, but anything around LA, no, sir. So when it comes to immigration, it also pisses me off when people are just like, oh, nobody's an illegal immigrant. We are all residents of Earth. You know what? Stick your hippie life somewhere, because we have borders for a reason. We have laws. And just because, especially here in America, is another thing that's like a whole different thing. Illegal immigrants and DACA and everything. Everybody's just like, yeah, but their country is so poor, they at least here they have an opportunity. Well, you know what? Slovenia is poor as well. That doesn't just give you the right to just come to another country and be like, I think I like it here, I'm gonna stay. And suddenly you get a citizenship. Like there are ways, there are laws, it costs money, there are procedures, and then you get to be a part of the country. Not just given. God damn it.
It's okay. I get it. So what you're saying is that some of these countries are shitholes. Is that what I'm hearing?
No. I think some of the people are shitholes. So
shitty people.
Assholes. Shitty people. There we go.
Fair enough. All right. So let's switch gears a little bit. And this is a great transition since we're talking about shitty people, and we kind of talked a little bit about potatoes earlier. What are your views on male feminists and white knights, and why?
Male feminists, honestly, I've never met a single male feminist that even from 2 miles away I can be like, this is an honest guy. No, it doesn't happen. I think it's a way to get laid, to get those brownie points, to be included. I think it's ridiculous. And I have the same feeling about white knights. And they can be both anti-feminist or they can be feminist. And I think it's ridiculous. Just be like, oh, don't talk to a lady like that. And then just automatically aim for those brownie points as well. I think
so they're thirsty cucks. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And clearly it doesn't sound like these male feminist cucks are very attractive to you.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they're male feminists, because otherwise, how are they going to get laid?
So, if I understand correctly, then what you're saying is that you would rather be more submissive in a relationship and have the man be a bit more dominant within reason. Is that a fair assessment?
I think it's a how do I put it delicately?
I don't need you to be delicate. I mean, we can talk about the pimp hand if you need to. It's fine.
I like the bottom and the top as much. And if there's a combination of that in a relationship, that's my ideal relationship. But I enjoy both.
Okay. That was pretty tactful. I'm impressed. That was a great way to dance out of that. That's pretty impressive. All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. Why don't we go ahead and open it up to the audience for Q&A? Lily, are you still there? Lily
Maybe.
might be
Just
AFK.
keeping you in suspense.
All right. So Lily, do we have questions for the audience?
Yeah, we got a few.
Hey! Before we do, I have a quick question for her before we get started. So let me ask you this, Barbara: if feminism went away and society had a chance to fix things, but it was only a traditional patriarchy, would you be willing to give up any of the rights you have right now in exchange for a more traditional society and relationship?
That's a tough one. Because on one hand, we have society and everything would be fine again. But then on the other hand, I'm too spoiled.
Well, at least you admit it. So that's good. And yeah, Lily, you got a little bit of the pimp hand, sorry.
I think I'm too preconditioned with being independent and taking care of shit myself, that not having that would just cause me anxiety, I think.
Okay. Well, at least you admit it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Lily. No more pimp hand for you right now. Go ahead and ask your questions.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, so first one we got was for the guest, Barbara. What made you want to be an anti-feminist?
Oh, that's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short.
Oh, take your time. We've got time. We're good on time, so go for it.
All right. I got asked that a lot, so it made sense after a while when I was thinking about it. The way I was growing up, and I'm not talking about the way I was raised, but the way my brain was developing, it was way ahead of time. Since I was little, I started reading when I was 4. I started learning English when I was 5 on my own, and I taught myself to a point where I could start reading in English when I was 6. And throughout middle school and high school, I was always interested in books and other things, and I never felt like I belonged. I felt always like I was out of place, and that got heightened up even more in high school when I didn't understand why getting drunk and sleeping with people all over the place was normal, and I always felt so strange and weird. And I was asking myself a lot, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I not like that? Why am I not so fun and free? And why do I care about things too much? And why do I think about things too much? And for a while, I even pretended, for the sake of being included, that, yeah, sleeping around is awesome. Yeah, I totally want to do it. Yeah, I totally slept like 150 guys. Woo! But I never could understand, why would you do that? And it wasn't until later on when I discovered that part of the internet and that part of literature on feminism and anti-feminism, is when I started reading into things, is when it actually started making so much more sense. And I was intrigued to learn more and more and more. And all the pieces in the like broken, scattered puzzle suddenly fell together, and it all made sense. And I was like, okay, yeah, I think I have to speak out about it, because I think my thoughts, like some people can relate to my thoughts, and they won't feel so alone like I felt all my life. There we go.
Fair enough. Next question.
Okay, a couple of them are doubling up. A lot of them about Barbara, your relationships.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So a lot of them are about your relationships. They want to know if you're single, basically, clearly.
The thirst is real.
Yeah,
the thirst is real.
Yeah, I'm single.
Okay. And then they're kind of leading into
hold on,
questions.
Guys, no unsolicited dick pics. Just saying. Okay. All right. Go on. Next question.
All right. So they want to know what you feel about no-fault divorce.
About what?
No-fault divorce. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's
basically...
like...
Go ahead.
I'll let DDJ go. You'll explain it better than I can.
Probably.
Go patriarchy.
Yeah, exactly. At least you know your place. See, that's important. You know, it's important. So thank you for that. Barbara, no-fault divorce in the United States means that people can get divorced for any reason. Before no-fault divorce, if you violated the bonds of marriage, you get sued for that, sued in divorce. and be held accountable for it. Now, with no fault divorce, they can just divorce for any reason.
Oh, okay. Well, that can have positive and negative sides, but I think, fuck. Just because, okay, I'm gonna go from my romantic and utopian perspective. I think, I think marriage is something that, like, it's like you marry your best friend and you marry them for life. And if you're lucky enough to find somebody like that, then it's worth something to work on and find ways to fix it instead of replace it. And if you can just get divorced for whatever reason you want, I think people take that route way too many times before trying to make things work, and hence so many divorces.
So that leads me to my next question.
Yeah.
One
of the things that MGTOW often talk about, especially not just MGTOW, but like the red pill manosphere in general, we often talk about women in that many of them are chameleons, and that sometimes these women can be chameleons for such a long period of time that a man will get in a committed relationship with them before finding out what they're really like. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, have you seen a lot of women? I know you don't have a lot of female friends, but do you see a lot of women out there being chameleons as well? Or, I mean, what's your opinion there?
I think it's like people in general can be chameleons. I think from what I experienced, women tend to be more honest about just wanting things casual, as those that I met. So they're not pretending to be someone else and then wasting their time on a relationship just to show their true faces, you know. They usually just show it right away, or maybe like on the deep heart, they want a relationship but pretend they don't want. But as far as like being a chameleon, I think that's a human nature problem, because
Okay.
I tend to fall for nice guys that I think they are nice, and then somewhere down the line they turn out to be horrible people. So,
but I thought you said you weren't into male feminists.
Huh?
I thought you said you weren't into male feminists.
It doesn't have to be a male feminist to be a nice and decent guy.
Okay, well, cucks. Okay, fair enough, cucks, because there are trad cucks out there too. So I get it. Okay. All right, next question.
Okay, there's like a lot of questions, and guys, I'm just gonna avoid anything about a notch count. Like, seriously, grow up. Don't be idiots.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys, look, she lives in LA. She's single. Yeah. Don't worry about notch count. It's more than one.
To put your mind to ease, I don't think there is a chance anyway, because all my relationships were developed from friendships. So unless you're my friend first, it's literally impossible to end up in a relationship.
There you go, guys. Friend zone shit test. All right. Next question.
There we go. Now that they're all satisfied. Okay. So, are you down with the patriarchy, like taking women's rights? Also, do you have? Never mind. That was the same question as before. Just the first half. What do you think about them taking away women's rights?
I think that is it's very hard to answer hypothetical questions with an honest answer, because hypothetical scenarios are never a good argument. But the way the society has been conditioned and the way I was conditioned, suddenly taking all the rights away, I don't know. It would be another decade or 2 decades or 3 decades before people get accustomed to not having rights again and wanting to be in a relationship and be happy. It wouldn't be like an overnight solution where women suddenly wake up happy and want to be in a relationship, because it would take a long time to get the way they were accustomed to living out of their system. So I don't think that would be a solution.
All right, so I'm actually going to ask this next question from Turd Flinging Monkey. The question is, if you had your way, how would you solve the fertility problem in the West without taking women's rights away? Do you think that's possible?
What part of the fertility problem?
All of it.
All of it.
Do you need me to go into more detail? Because TFM and I have talked about this a lot. I could probably...
Yeah, give me more detail.
So, in every country that's adopted feminism, the marriage rate and the fertility rate has gone right into the shitter. So, if you could increase the fertility rate without taking women's rights away, do you think that's possible, number one? Or number two, do you think that, if it is possible, how would you do it? And I want to go into the whole taking women's rights away in a little more detail in a second, but I definitely want to ask that first question about the fertility rate.
Okay. Well, I was not aware of that fertility rates were down. As far as my opinion goes, Earth is overpopulated anyway.
Well, let me break it.
I want to put more people on this planet.
Right. Let me break it down a little bit, a little bit more specifically. In the United States, the birth rate's dog shit. In Europe, in every country in Europe where the indigenous population or the native population is adopted feminism, like Sweden, the UK, those populations are dwindling. And so the birth rate is dog shit. The places where the population is skyrocketing are places where traditional patriarchies are, where feminism has no hold. So Africa, the Middle East, that kind of thing. Does that make a little bit more sense?
It does make sense, but I don't really see an issue with this, because not controlling things, you end up the way we have situations in still patriarchal society when people have 11, 12 children that they can't feed, and or stillborns or diseases or starving, and they grow up into be not very well developed human beings as far as like even the brain goes, the body goes, the strength goes. So not controlling things is a very, very terrible idea. Okay. As far as fertility issues, I don't see that there's a lack of people so far. But if we want to find a solution without taking the women's rights away, it would have to be a domino effect, and we would have to work on the root first, trying to get the marriage and family lifestyle back in, the popular zone, or whatever you want to call it. And then, because people are afraid to be tied down now, and kids are the biggest commitment you are going to do on this planet, and people are terrified of it. And if we go back to a point where it's like, no, having a family and a marriage is something that is going to fulfill you, not make you feel worse, then more people will go for it, and bam, more babies. There you go.
Right. Well, and so when we're talking about women's rights, I want to make sure that there's something abundantly clear as well, to be more specific. Mm-hmm. One of the things that TFM and I have discussed, and this is something that I agree with, is that no one should have rights without the equivalent responsibilities. So with that in mind, we both oppose the welfare state. And so one of the things that we've talked about is that if you're not a net taxpayer, you shouldn't vote. So in other words, if you're a welfare sponge, you shouldn't vote.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
I completely agree with that.
Okay.
Like, why would you? Because you're going to vote for the people that are going to give you welfare, which means the people who are going to give you welfare are going to win for all the wrong reasons. So if you're living on welfare and you're not actually a contributor to society, your votes should be taken away.
Okay. Yeah, and when we talk about taking women's rights away, specifically with the vote, we were talking about is that the majority of the time, men are the net taxpayers and women are the net tax receivers. And so this would be something that would disproportionately affect women who are not net taxpayers. What's your view on that?
Well, I don't see a lot of women but you are a taxpayer if you have a job and you're not on welfare. Correct?
If you're making over a certain amount of money in the United States, and I'm speaking from a U.S. perspective, in the United States, if you make over a certain amount of money and you actually are a net contributor, I think you have to. I forget how much money it is. I think TFM's figured it out, but it's definitely a substantial amount of money.
Well, I think that if you live exclusively on welfare, then you shouldn't be voting. But if you have a job, then and you are spending 9 to 5, or even if you get paid shit, I think you should have the ability to vote. And that includes women as well. And men.
So I'm looking at the chat right now. TFM says only the top 20% are net taxpayers. Most people get everything back in tax refunds and benefits. So that's what he was referring to. So that makes sense. So, okay. Next question.
All right. While we're on that sort of welfare theme, we have a question that says the WHO is declaring women who waste their youth and end up alone as disabled so that they can be supported by welfare. Your thoughts?
Well, okay. Say that again.
Okay. Maybe sorry, I speak too fast sometimes. The WHO is declaring women who waste their youth and end up alone as disabled so they can be supported by the welfare. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I thought I heard it correctly. It just sounded so ridiculous that I was like, no, they can't be right.
Well,
wow.
They might have been potatoes. They may have been from Slovenia or wanted to go there.
Jesus.
I was definitely a potato. It was TFM, guys.
No. There you go, TFM. No. I think that's important, though. So what are your thoughts on that, though?
So if they end up alone, they should be qualified as disabled?
Yeah, the World Health Organization has said that women who are alone are considered disabled, and they want to give them welfare.
Jesus Christ! No, my brain can't even comprehend that right now. No, that's retarded.
Okay, I agree.
That's ridiculous. No. Oh Jesus! No. It's like I'm getting so many mixed feelings between like anger and frustration right now. Because on one hand, we have all these women telling how women are strong and independent. And then on the other hand, when it comes to being strong and independent, they all fucking freeze. No. If you're alone, you're not disabled.
Okay, so quick follow-up question then. So if they don't get the government welfare and they are alone, who pays for their cat food?
I don't know. I think they have cats just feeding it themselves outside in the balcony or something.
Got it. Okay. Next question, Lily.
Okay, this one's a little bit trolly, but I'm going to ask anyway. It's actually a question for both of us, Barbara. Ooh. What are your thoughts on sex robots, and do you consider Celestina a second-class citizen?
Do you want to answer first?
No, you better. My answer might hurt people.
All right. I've done a video on that already. The people took it a completely opposite way. My thoughts on this whole sex bots thing is, and very important detail here is that I'm a huge sci-fi fan. And I've seen one too many movies where technology fucked the humankind. That's important detail. As far as like moral stand.
When you're saying fucking humankind, are you thinking like doggy style? I mean, what are we talking about here?
We're talking 69. Come on, pay attention.
Fair enough.
Like benefits. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So as far as like moral standpoint, like you go ahead, knock yourself out, like, or don't do it literally though. I don't care. I couldn't care less. But my tinfoil head will answer it that I think they are making them way too advanced for their purpose. If it's the purpose to cater to sex needs, they are making them, and I've done extensive research on this, and I know what I'm talking about. They are making them super advanced to a point where they can trick you and lie to you. And I don't think that's necessary if the purpose of it is for sex. So what my philosophy on this is that
so you're saying that they need to make them.
No, let me finish.
Okay.
That they're gonna infiltrate everyday lifestyle that way, because a computer can easily be hackable. So at some point, the more people own those sex bots, the more that we can get overruled by them. But as far as for pleasure, using them for pleasure, if they make them just a little less advanced, you know what? Do your thing. I don't care. I don't feel frightened. I don't think women are in any danger here. If it tickles your pickles, go for it.
Okay. So what you're saying is what you're saying then about sex bots in general then is that basically that their personality is not important because it's not necessary to fuck them.
Was I saying that?
Well, you were saying it too advanced, so obviously advanced personality and hackability.
Yeah, advanced, like, I mean, in a way, like, they're putting in programs that they don't have to have, like lying and cheating.
Right.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, if a robot can trick you to just believe that it's just a robot, and then one day you wake up with their hand around your neck trying to kill you, well, that's a problem. That's my philosophy. I think it's a way to infiltrate the humanity and humankind and overrule it.
Okay, what about Celestina?
About what?
Second-class citizen or not?
Oh, no. No, too creepy. Let's not do that. I'm totally against it. I've seen Ex Machina, and I've seen a lot of movies where robots just take charge. No.
TFM, Celestina does not get the vote. Now you know. All right, Lily, your turn to answer the question.
Okay. So, Celestina, definitely not a second-class citizen. Actually, she's just like a doll, isn't she? She doesn't have any electronics in her, as far as I have stalked. Yeah. All right. So I'm actually like legit looking into getting a sex doll just because they're pretty. So I'm not going to pass too much judgment there.
So is your sex doll going to have like a pull starter on the vibrator, or I mean, what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know how that works, to be entirely honest. So
okay.
I'll find out.
All right. You can report back.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. I'll give you guys definite, clear instruction on that.
All right. Next question.
Okay, this one's actually for DDJ. Do girls overseas try to get themselves pregnant? If so, why? Do you know any stories of them getting pregnant?
I know that in the military in the 70s and 80s. So when I was a lot younger, I used to live near Fort Lewis, and I used to talk to a lot of the guys. I had a lot of friends on the military base. And one of the things that they used to tell the Army, and it's an Army base, one of the things they used to tell the Army guys was to be careful when you deployed overseas, because these women would try to get pregnant by the military guys as a backdoor to get into the United States. So I don't know how it is anymore, because I don't associate with a lot of military guys anymore because I don't live in that area anymore. But I do know it was a huge issue, to where like it was pretty common knowledge. And I know like in certain bases, which will remain unnamed, there would be women who would wait by the gate of the military base for the new guys to come out and socialize. And basically they would try to get them squared away and with sex and everything and trap them with a kid. So yeah, that it used to be very common. I don't know how common it is anymore, but I do know that a lot of immigrants will try to go into a country, especially like the United States, and they'll get pregnant just so they can have an anchor baby here. So yeah, that I think it's still a significant issue if it's not as big as it used to be.
Okay. I will also just say, guys, I don't think we're answering any questions about family or how Barbara arrived in the US. Just throwing that one out there.
Yeah.
Let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit before the stream. Some of that might create doxing information, or at least information that's too personal that could dox unnecessarily. So yeah, we're not going to have those questions. And that was something that Barbara and I talked about prior to the stream.
But just to throw that out there to ease your mind, I came here legally and I'm going to stay here legally without marrying anybody. Go.
Okay.
There you go. She's 100% legit. Confirmed.
Yes.
All right. With cats,
It's
probably.
actually costing me every penny that I have, but I'm going to do it the right way.
All right. Cool.
Good. Okay. For the guest, do you have a grasp on your own hypergamous nature and how it shapes how you relate to the world?
On my own what?
Do you know what hypergamy is?
Nature.
No.
Hypergamy is basically where a biological instinct in women where they will seek the best mate for both breeding and provision. So when they talk about hypergamous nature, that's what they're referring to in women.
Okay, so to paraphrase this question would be what?
Do you have a grasp on your own hypergamy or your own need for, I guess, the best breeding stock and the best provision? And go ahead and ask the question again, Lily, just to make sure I'm paraphrasing correctly.
Okay. Do you have a grasp of your own hypergamous nature and how it shapes how you relate to the world? I think that's fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I think at this point it's fairly straightforward. I'm not sure how. I mean, it's a pretty basic question, so.
If I'm, no, I don't understand the question.
All right.
What if I'm looking for a partner? No, okay, you have to paraphrase it.
Are you looking? So like in your own hypergamous nature, are you looking for a partner now? And if you are looking for a partner, are you looking for provision in addition to basically the best genetics or the most attractive man? Or I mean, what are your priorities in dealing with your hypergamy as it relates to?
Okay, I understand now. I understand that. The way I'm situated right now, I've always been this way. I don't look for a relationship because I don't technically need one. I usually like for the things to happen naturally. Like I don't go on dating websites or dating apps. I like to, if things happen naturally, then I'm more than happy. But I'm not currently in a place where I'm looking for a relationship. I do want to be married one day and have kids, but I want it to be, I have this utopian romantic idea that one day I'm going to meet the one and I'm just going to feel that it's the one and that the one is going to stay with forever. So I'm waiting for that to happen. So I don't want to force the process.
Right.
And as far as him being the one can be based on numerous things, but I don't have like a specific list that he has to check off, except for having good taste in music and willing to travel. That's the only way, the only thing that I want.
Okay. All right. Next question.
All right. So we're getting a lot of questions about marriage. So I'm just going to mush them all together, guys, because they're like the same question. Basically, they want to know, like, because you're traditionalist, but you're not married, if marriage is your goal and what you're going to give up to make that happen, if anything has to be given up.
Yeah, definitely. Marriage is one of my goals. I have a lot of goals in life, but like being married is definitely one of them. I've been in serious relationships so far. They didn't work out. And once I find the person that relationship with them works out, that would be, of course, the grand finale or whatever, the prize or whatever. And I want to, as far as like kids and everything, I don't want to put too much stress on myself to, balance work and having kids when I get to a point where I have kids, like not full-time work and full-time job and having kids, because I think that's impossible. So once I'm in a situation where I know I can still provide a little bit and I'm well situated, that's when, and I have the right person, then that's when things will happen. But it all depends on the person, I guess. So until I meet the one, I'm not gonna aim for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know how to explain that. Okay.
All right. Well, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a follow-up question to that. So, obviously you've got a lot of goals in your life, but one of your goals is to be married and to have kids. As a woman ages, her eggs go away in a very permanent fashion, where a woman starts to hit the wall. Have you thought about that, and does that affect your sense of urgency to find a relationship? I mean, or do you care about kids? I mean, what's your thought there?
I haven't given it that much thought. Because I really don't want to. The thing is, like, that is, again, a hypothetical scenario that is going to happen in the future. I don't know how circumstances are going to be like 5 years from now, where I'm going to be, if I'm going to be with somebody, how the world is going to look like, how is my money situation going to be like, how my family situation is back home is going to look like. So a lot of factors depend on that. So unless I have everything settled and I have no more things that I need to solve first, I'm not going to actively look for a relationship, because I know I can't be as devoted to it as I should have. And I guess you have to ask me the same question in a few years. Right now, there's too much stuff that I still need to solve before I can be peaceful and calm and settle down.
Okay. Would that have anything to do with like mental health medication? I hope not.
No. It's just
okay. I just
family.
All right. All right, guys. I'm going to ask a couple more questions of Barbara, and then I think we're pretty much done with the stream. So just kind of, I want to make sure we've got enough time. Also, as an FYI for everybody else, at 1:30 today Pacific Standard Time, I'll be doing the Layman's Legal Clinic with MGTOW Esquire, and we're going to be covering evidentiary issues, and then we're definitely going to be taking Q&A on legal questions. So if you have legal questions for MGTOW Esquire or myself, make sure you stay tuned to that stream as well. So Barbara, we're going to go ahead and grab the last couple questions, and then we'll close it down. All right, Lily, go for it.
Okay, so Barbara, you're from Slovenia. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump's wife? I know that was so weird, but we're going to go with it.
People ask me that. Well, I think it's wonderful that people finally know where Slovenia is and know what it is. I remember there was when they got together first, I think it was in the 90s, and I was just a kid. I remember it was all over the news, all over the media. Oh, a Slovenian with a millionaire. Oh my god. I don't know. I think she's pretty. She could have practiced her accent a little bit better. She's been here for so long. But I don't know. I think she's just doing her own thing, and she found a way to make her life pretty decent.
Do you think her tits are fake?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they have to be. They are way too perky to be natural.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately, Mother Nature never gives you that much.
That's true. Not often.
Okay, last question. Have you ever cheated on a boyfriend or a guy, I guess?
Never.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys.
Told you it wasn't common. Huh?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't commit very often either. So there you go. So anyway.
That's not the point. That is
but I've been cheated on.
Okay.
However, I've been cheated on. And I didn't even cheat out of spite. Nope.
Okay.
That's something I'd never do.
Okay.
See?
All right. Well, thank you, Barbara, for taking time out of your Sunday to get together and chit-chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'll be doing post-production audio on this, and then I'll be uploading it to YouTube probably tomorrow, because it's been a pretty rough few days as far as my schedule is concerned. And then we'll just kind of go ahead and go from there. Oh, and again, 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, we're going to be doing the Layman's Legal Clinic, and we'll be having MGTOW Esquire on. And if you want to check out Barbara, it's Barbara 4u, as in you, the letter U, 2, the number 2, and then C. I think that's right? Yeah, Barbara4u2c.
Barbara4u2c. For you guys.
All right, it's in chat. So
there we go.
There you go. So check out some of her YouTube videos. Check her out on Twitter. It's the same Twitter handle. And then we'll just go from there. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And you guys have a great morning. I'll see you in a couple hours, hour and a half or something like that. Talk to you soon.